Okay, we are live at Chelberg Farm at Indiana Dunes National Park. Welcome to our very first Facebook Live presentation from Indiana Dunes National Park. And I am Ranger Kim Swift, and I am helping to narrate this broadcast. And I have an interpreter with us, Lori Pruitt. And then we are out here with Ranger Jim Whiteneck and Ranger J.P. Anderson at Chelberg Farm. And they are going to kick off our Maple Sugar Time Festival at Chelberg Farm and tell you what's happening this year, how things are changing, and what the news is from the farm. I'm going to step back and let these guys share more with you about what's happening right now.
All right, great. Let me switch to camera view really quick, Kim. All right, JP.
All right. Well, we're safely distanced here over 6 feet, so that's good. Yeah, I'm JP, park ranger out here, like Kim said. We're with Jim and have a couple other rangers around too to hopefully answer all the questions that we have. So Maple Sugar Festival, well, boy, oh boy, it's quite a difference from what we're used to, but it's exciting getting outside. Typically, we would have folks out here, boy, thousands of folks out here selling maple syrup and sugar and different things, but not doing that this year. And also, we usually have some awesome partners like the Dunes Learning Center and the Friends of Indiana Dunes that set us up with staff and financial support. So shout out to them. Thanks a bunch. This year, you're going to see it's a little different. We don't have the sites set up, but we'll talk about them a little bit. So it's Maple Sugar Time. You know, what's that mean? Well, it's the time of year. It's the time of year for that. People have been making maple syrup or making maple sugar for thousands of years, I guess. And it started with the indigenous folks here. And actually, I want to do a little shout out for the Polkagan band of Potawatomi with Nicole. She did a great presentation on Monday evening, and I believe it's going to be on our website. So there's a link there or on our Facebook. Check that out. I can't even get close to what she said. That was good. I watched it and loved it. Well, here we go. You know, what do you need? Well, for Maple Sugar Time, like you said, like I was saying, you need the time of the year. You need when in the springtime when the sap has been stored down in the roots all winter and such, and when you start getting days like today, beautiful day, it's nice and warm, and the sap is up in the trees where you can start gathering it, and you put a little spile in the tree, you drill a little hole, and you put a spile in there, a little tube, hang a bucket, or there's different ways of doing it, but you gather that sap and you boil it down. I mean, that's it. You can do it at home, and I think we're maybe showing that later. Maybe you do it yourself for making maple syrup at home. So what do? You got to have, first of all, maple trees, and here's a nice little forest here, a little woods area, and there are a lot of maple trees in it. So you find all those maple trees, and then if they're a certain diameter, then you can tap them and gather the sap from them. So how do you find those? We're going to get moving, but right here, this is one you can just tell, just feeling it's corky. That's an elm. So that's certainly not one. So you look around, you go walk. Like Nicole said in hers the other night, I was lucky enough to be able to see her presentation. And the best time to do it is find the trees during the summertime, with the leaves and such. Here's getting close to some trees here. You can tell some of these oaks out here. You can just tell you can tell by the silhouette of a tree what it is. Sometimes these oaks, they got big guns. They got big branches up there holding thousands of pounds of nuts and such. You got my favorite tree. This is a beech tree right here. It's my favorite tree. Do you have a favorite tree? I'm just curious. My son's is a shagbark.
Yeah, I love the shagbark hickory.
Yeah, shagbark right back here. The one with the shaggy bark. My daughter's is a black cherry tree, and what is my wife's? Sycamore. She loves the sycamore tree. So, wonder what your favorite tree is. But mine is a beech tree right there. It kind of seems like it's an abused tree. People always want to carve their names into the darn thing, and I don't think they realize that they can actually kill it by doing that. But enough of that. Let's find some maple trees. Let's have some trees and gather some sap. Here's a good example right here of someone carving their name in a tree right there. You know, if they kept doing that, enough people did that, they could kill that. They could kill that tree. So what we call a woods or a forest, I don't know if I just said it, but we call it a sugar bush. That's a nice stand of trees that have some maple trees in there that we can tap and gather the sap. So typically what we have done through the years, probably I've been doing this about 30 years, is we get groups of folks. It's always a good time with the public, and also thousands, it seems like thousands of kids come through here sometimes, just school groups, and that's just a darn shame that that's not happening this year. But hey, hopefully next year, and maybe we'll do something so that teachers can show this in their classrooms. So right up here is the very early Native American site. There's nothing set up. Like I said earlier, I encourage you to go check out Nicole Holloway's presentation. That was really good. Talked about how the indigenous folks made maple syrup or maple sugar way back, and how they're continuing those traditions today, which is really neat. Something we like to share with folks. So you got the earliest folks that learned how to do it. They somehow figured it out, that taking sap from a tree, particularly the sugar maple tree, that's why it's named that, boil that down and make syrup, and even more so, boil it down and they make sugar, and how it was such an important part of their life, a food source. And as time has changed, heck, you could go your whole life right now and never have it, and it wouldn't really be that, probably wouldn't suffer. But it was a big deal for trading, probably as valuable as gold, who knows? But very important resource for them, especially this time of year when probably had depleted some of their food sources, their food caches that they had stored, nuts and berries and fish and meat that they had dried, and some things that they had even grown. Well, what a great supplement for the existing food they had this time of year. And then, obviously, the early settlers learned from them, the indigenous folks, how to make maple. I'm making this hard for you, Jim. Sorry.
It's okay. We're getting it figured out. It's our first time.
And so the early settlers learned how to do it. And let's walk up to this bucket here, and we'll talk a little bit about that. They had metal. Okay, that would be big. Just think about what they would have had instead of just the pure natural resources here, with stones and wood and animals and plants and such. They actually had metal. So just with the invention of kettles, being able to boil it down was much more efficient and just a quicker way of making it. So even the drills and to metal spiles and to be able to put holes in trees and hang buckets, just like this bucket right here. A little bit of sap in here right now. Yeah. I don't really want to taste that right now because maybe a mouse peed in there, so I don't want to do that. But it would be a little sweet. Okay, I've tasted it many times. If it were dripping, I'd put my tongue under there. But right, the first run early in the season, usually it's about, we're getting it maybe about 3 little, maybe higher percent of sugar in there, and that's important because when you go to boil it down, you don't have to boil it as long. And maybe we'll talk about that a little bit, or maybe in the next one, because the longer you boil it down, the longer those sugars can kind of burn, and that's when you get a darker syrup. And it's good, it's great, but when it came down to the Shellbergs doing it, for instance, they would grade it. They had a way of grading it, and they got a little more money, or people get more money these days if it's a lighter color syrup. It's just worth more money. I guess they pay a premium for that. They being candy manufacturers and such. But I've tasted them all. They all taste good. So the early settlers, they had the metal kettles to boil it down. They had glass to be able to, the jars to be able to put it in and store it as syrup. So, and then the dependence on it was maybe going down a little bit more. It helped. It helped that I didn't have to buy sugar, as much sugar. I even read there were some groups of that they didn't want to support slave type production or of some of the cane sugar, so that really helped them to be able to supplement with, didn't have to support anything like that. It's just really good. So what we're doing this year, as you can see, it's just come on out, walk around. If you see it's a nice day, there's a real good chance that some rangers will be out here gathering sap from all these buckets we put up. We put a lot of buckets up. There's a drip right there. I'll be darned. So it is starting to drip right now. And so come on out and check it out and see what we're doing. We'll be gathering sap. And this year we're going to focus on being at the Sugar Shack. Okay? The Sugar Shack is the structure that the Shellbergs built to make maple syrup. And basically what they did, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to ruin it for, I'm thinking we're going to do another one of these next week where we really focus in on the Sugar Shack and what we're doing there. Because right now, well, it's not time. Mother Nature, we don't have any sap. We have very little sap, so we're not going to make maple syrup. But by next week, there's a good chance we're going to have enough, maybe 100 gallons or more, to make some maple syrup. That's when we'll get that Sugar Shack, the oven going with the evaporator pans, and really make a nice show of it. And it'd be a shame to do that without showing everyone. So we'll tape it, and like I said, we'll try to do a live one like this, and then heck, maybe some teachers can use it for all those hundreds, some thousands of kids that aren't able to get out here this year. That'd be nice. Sure would make them feel good. So we're coming up to the Sugar Shack here. Anyone know about how many gallons of sap you have to boil down to get 1 gallon of syrup? Because you got to boil down quite a bit. If you said about 40, you're right. I can't hear if you're answering that. But so, oh man, hey, we got an awesome volunteer up here right now, Harry. He's preparing. It takes a lot of preparation, cleaning it out, getting the pans ready, getting the oven ready, a lot of splitting of wood. So that's what Harry's doing. Hey, come on. Hey, Harry, you want to say hi to? It's live. It's live. Hi, everybody. Awesome. We could not. Like I said earlier, the Friends of Indiana Dunes, the Dunes Learning Center, just our hundreds of volunteers. We couldn't do it without them. There's no way. So volunteers like Harry here, and heck, he knows more about the operation in here than me, I think. So next week we're do another one of these. Let's go for it, and maybe see actual maple syrup being made. Until then, if it's a nice day, come on out. Maybe we'll shoot the bull with you if we happen to be out collecting sap. and read some of these little exhibits here. They kind of tell you a little bit about it. And like I said, maybe after that one, maybe we'll talk a little bit about a study that we've been doing here for years in a sugar bush across the street. That's really interesting. Kind of teasing you right now, okay? Maybe we'll get the scientist that's been working on that or the researcher, and maybe talk a little bit about doing it yourself. Maybe we'll get up in that house. I'm going crazy now, so I'm going to stop. So right now, thanks a bunch, folks. This has been my first Facebook Live thing, so I hope it was fun, and look forward to doing another one.
Thanks, JP. Now we're going to go back to Kim here.
All right. Thank you, JP. Thank you, Lori, for interpreting. And thanks to everyone who joined us live here on Facebook. There was some really good comments. Don't see any real questions here. A few folks shared what their favorite trees were, the beaches and so forth. And one person was answered your question, JP, and said 50 gallons of sap to make a gallon of syrup, which is, yeah, right on the mark. So thanks again for folks coming in, and we hope to see you.
There's a ring.
All right. We'll say bye to Chelberg Farm. See you guys next week, hopefully.